one of the reasons why I've heard people say that they left Amplify is because they felt like you only preached grace. Yeah. Right? And that you didn't go deeper. You didn't go deep enough.
Yeah. Your question was really about the huge emphasis on grace. Mm-hmm. And what I will say is that I had a huge revelation about 11 years ago about the difference between the new covenant and the old covenant, the difference between law and the new covenant of grace and everything being for free because it was paid for by the blood of Jesus. And I was so disturbed because I had felt like we had taken the message of grace, the message of the gospel, and we had imposed Old Testament legalism, Mosaic law on top of it. And the Bible explicitly tells us not to do that because then grace won't have any power. Mm-hmm. And I looked at the church and I'm like, oh my gosh, we've been teaching the old covenant. We've been teaching legalism. Mm. And so I had a radical encounter with God through that, through really learning, through a lot of Bible study, through experiencing grace for myself. Right. And I'm like, this has to be corrected. And there was a season where I felt like I needed to really deposit the theological structure about that into our church in order to set people free so that they could really know who Jesus was and really accept Jesus. Right. And there were people who were like, oh my gosh, why are we talking about grace? And it's like, okay, well, whatever. This is the whole gospel. Yeah. This is the whole thing. And so if you're mad about that, I don't know what to tell you. Like, if you want to argue about smaller issues, like if you want to argue about things that people have been arguing about for a long time, like, was the creation narrative in Genesis a literal 7 days or was it a figurative 7 days? I'm like, I don't have time for that argument. Like, if you want to make that the hill that you die on, like, I have no time for you. Like, whatever. I don't know. It could be either way. Why are we arguing about this? Sure. Like, I don't think that's a big issue. My opinion. There's other people who do. My opinion. But if you're saying that you're tired of grace, like, that's the whole thing. like how, like, that's the whole thing. Like, I don't know what to say to you, you know? But I will say that the criticism of depth was because people felt like by removing the legalism that we were reinforcing the broader cultural narrative that I've just described as humanism, which is there's no absolute truth. Right. Mm. And so people were like, Amplify is not teaching the truth because they're not reinforcing sort of the absolutes of higher moral standard and all this kind of stuff, because Jason's only talking about grace and forgiveness and accepting the free gift of the cross. Like, and they were really what they were saying when they were saying not deep. These people, not all people, but these people, is they were saying we need legalism. And I'm like, I'm not ever going to teach legalism. No, but a lot of Christians want...
I need a little legalism in my life.
But a lot of Christians want legalism. A lot of Christians want legalism about things that they don't struggle with.
Sure.
They don't want legalism about the things that they struggle with. They want legalism for all of the other people with other struggles. And I had no time for that because that's not grace and that's not the gospel. Right.